Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Renee Ramsdell, and I'd like to welcome you to the Athlete Within Summit 2.0. Today, we're going to teach you guys how to build a fit and lean body, unleash your self-confidence, and live your biggest life. And it's my pleasure to introduce today's guest, Cynthia Mazzaferro. Cynthia is a motivational speaker, #1 Amazon best-selling author, energy and intuitive healer, Reiki master, life coach, and author. She's a retired physical therapist of over 30 plus years and previous owner of an ergonomic company where she performed work site analysis and spent thousands of hours training and teaching individuals on injury and stress reduction. She found out through her work that not all physical symptoms have physical origins and how one can reduce or eliminate them by releasing the emotional debris around our past hurts. Cindy's passion is to assist people in their personal growth, health, and purpose. Cindy's #1 Amazon self-help book, Powerful Beyond Measure, explores your past, empowers your present, and envisions your future filled with purpose, passion, and miracles. You can purchase her book, Powerful Beyond Measure, on Amazon or at your favorite bookstore. Check out Cindy's website, cynthiamazzaferro.com. So Cindy, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Renee. I'm so excited to be a participant in your summit. I think it's a really wonderful, exciting summit. It's so different than what we see out there. And being a physical therapist and feeling that our body and our health is so important to our living a life of happiness. And so I think that's really a wonderful topic.
I have to say, I was completely drawn to you because of your interesting past in physical therapy and your energy healing. One thing that people will discover pretty quickly about me is that I'm a very, very big believer in mind, body, spirit connection and training, all of those things. So you were just a very obvious choice for me. So I'm so thrilled to have you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction too.
Sure. So let's dive in. I want to kind of get out of your way a little bit, if you will.
Okay.
Could you give us a little background about from your physical therapy past, when you see injuries, as you kind of said in your bio, your intro, some of them do have physical causes, right? But some of them, there may be some emotional undertones in there. Can we talk about that a little bit, please?
Sure, I'd love to. And I think maybe one great way for me to do that is to share really briefly a small story of my own and how that physically impacted me, although I didn't realize it at the time. So my parents were divorced when I was 7, and my father just left and abandoned us pretty much. It was 5 daughters. I was second oldest from 9 years to 9 months old. And so he left, and, I was always teary or so sad to think that he wasn't part of my life and wasn't going to do the father-daughter dance, wouldn't walk me down my aisle when I got married, wasn't there when the grandchildren were born. It was always an empty seat. And it was always a void, a thirst within myself that was always unquenchable. There's just never that male component there to nurture me. And so I really wanted and sought after confirmation, affirmation from outside of me, saying, kind of like Daddy would say, "Oh, you're such a special little girl, and you're tremendous. Oh, you did a great job. Oh, what a great recital," or whatever. And I would be really wanting that positive affirmation. And I got that when I was on my physical therapy. I owned my own business and did ergonomics. I worked primarily with men, although it's not only for men, but I wanted this reinforcement from the outside in. And what I found was I really was never satisfied. No matter how much they told me, it was just still unresolved.
Right.
And so what happened was one day, I'm kind of jumping to the next part quickly because I know we only have so much time and I want to give you, your listeners, so much information here, is that my husband walked down one day with suitcase in hand, tears rolling out of his eyes before he even said anything, saying, "I love you, but I can't live with you anymore."
Oh.
And out the door he goes. And so to me, it was like, oh my gosh.
Here we go again.
My father, 25 years younger. And I cannot believe it. How can, first of all, it's so contradictory for me as a woman to understand how can you love someone and then say you can't live with them? I mean, like, how bad can I be? course, it's me. I'm the one that's wrong, not him, or, it's me. What did I do wrong? How could our life just deteriorate and just change in a second? What's going to happen with our two older sons, our finances, oh my gosh, what about the vows we made to God? All those things just came to my mind in a split second. And so we started working on things, and I'm happy to say 35 years later, we're still happily married. But there was a time too that one night I woke up in bed. And this was kind of like another aha moment where I was connecting the dots. And I had actually gained a lot of weight. I was about 60 pounds overweight. I was using a sleep apnea machine I had sleep apnea, so I was using a CPAP machine to help breathing. So I was waking up many times in the night. I was really not getting very good restful sleep. And one night I woke up and I kind of was rebellious and said, I'm not going to use this stupid machine. I hate it. It feels so unfeminine. I always turned away from my husband because I didn't want to see the hose and the noise, and just was not what I wanted. It didn't help with my self-esteem for sure. And my husband never complained, never said a thing. But then, so I wasn't using it one night. And so I probably was snoring, and I woke up and I saw my husband walking out of the bedroom into the other room. And so what do you think my mind thought of?
Yeah. Oh, what's wrong with me? Did I wake him up?
But he was actually physically walking out of my life again, right?
Oh,
oh my gosh, it's starting again. It happens again and again and again. And that underlying theme was always somewhere present in activities throughout my day.
Got it.
And it was my perception, it's up in here from when it hurt me when I was 6, 7 years of age, that it was still emotionally impacting me and actually being created in my life, because there was something I was supposed to be learning from that. And until I learned it, guess what? It's going to keep happening.
Again, right.
It's going to keep happening, and it's going to keep happening to every one of your listeners until we learn and grow as the soul, the individual soul that we are, not the physical body, but the soul within our physical body, as we learn and grow to fulfill the destiny, the reason why we actually are born into this physical life. So that's something we might say, oh my gosh, well, I always think of myself, no one wants to listen to me, or no one hears me. Maybe that's your wound. Or maybe someone else feels that they can't trust people because they didn't have a trusting relationship or a different trusting family environment. So trust is an issue. Or maybe you were always told you made bad decisions. And so your whole life, what you've been doing? Making bad decisions.
Right.
So how do we change that? And so I actually started to do a lot of inner work and created ways to eliminate the emotional pain that resides within our body. And it always resides within our body, because we're heart-centered, we're heart-feeling individuals. And so when you address that part, that core essence of who you are, the soul that you are, that's when you start to see profound changes in your physical life, but also your physical body, well-being, your happiness, and what you bring into your life. And so it's really, really powerful stuff.
Could you give us some examples of how those, emotional hurts would show up physically?
Sure, of course. For people who feel that they're not powerful or that they feel overpowered by other people, you may feel it in your stomach. The stomach chakra area is your power center. If you feel issues with your masculinity or femininity or the roots of your upbringing, and it could even go back into ancestral past lives, then you may have more pelvic floor issues. You might have anything, reproductive issues. You can even have problems with your bladder, feeling not supported in life, and you have incontinence. You can have, there's no rights and wrong places where you feel it. It's where you ended up having the energy held within your body. So a good way, and I'd like to maybe encourage your listeners to kind of think, if I had to feel right now and be present in my body sensations, what are you feeling? So can I put you on the spot, Renee?
Sure.
So just be present in your body.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be a pain. It could just be, let's just even say you're thinking about a certain stressful situation. I believe you said you're moving, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that creates a lot of packing and chaos and noise and oh my gosh, and all that goes with it, okay? Uncertainty. Where do you feel that in your body?
So I will say I do feel the physical symptoms of moving. My shoulders are very tired and a lot of tension, but I feel a lot of tension in my stomach area.
Okay.
Very tense.
So two things. The shoulder area could literally means that you're supporting the world on your shoulders. You know how you see the Atlas holding up the world?
Right.
So you might feel that you're taking on more than you really feel capable of doing, you know, managing the children, still managing the household, still putting on this summit, physically having to unpack and pack and the whole thing. And so that is not necessarily the physical part to moving, but it's where energetically you're feeling the stress inside of you around the topic of moving.
Okay.
And so some things that you can be doing is to say, what can I do to relieve my stress about moving? Okay. So that might mean instead of you assuming it's your perception that you still have to be the perfect housewife, the perfect mother, the get it all together so it looks good because my husband's working so many hours a day, can you give yourself a break and say, I'm not going to put that pressure on myself?
Right. Yes. Yes.
And just hearing in your voice when you said yes and people looked at you was like, I can breathe. I can take
right. I could feel.
Oh my gosh, she just gave me permission to not do it all myself.
Right.
And so what happens is we put the pressure on ourselves. Because from your childhood wound, and we don't know what that is right now, but you feel like you have to maybe be able to control all this. Okay. And you mentioned your stomach, that it also, you felt the physicality of the move on your shoulders, but there really was something deeper and more of a heavy sensation in your stomach area. Now, this could bring up a lot of things. I'm an intuitive, so I'm going to try to wing it here and see what comes to me. But it could be that you felt powerless in your childhood where you were forced to move into different locations in different situations that you didn't like feeling that you had no say in. This could also be a move that your husband's making you move because of a work thing where, again, you feel like you have no say in this and you're being forced to move. Is any of that right?
Yes, the move was, although it's definitely for the good, it was not my decision and I would have chose different timing. So yeah.
And so what happens is you're feeling powerless because like, I really love my old home. I really felt comfortable. This really created havoc in my life. And now it's putting more stress on me because I have to do the move. I have to unpack. I still have to be the mother. I'm putting on this summit. Oh my gosh, my head's already exhausted and I haven't done anything. And I feel by not being able to do everything, I even feel less powerful, even more so.
Right.
And is that right?
That I would say that's pretty accurate.
And I've never really met Renee except by email and talking on the phone once, but it's what I, as a therapist, and I don't even refer to myself as a physical therapist anymore, but intuitively, when you hear a person talk and share what they're going through, that there is a presence within themselves that has deeper emotional connections to them. And with that, you can actually create physical harm internally and actually create illnesses and diseases. I mean, it's been told that anger causes cancer.
Right.
I mean, first thing I say when you have anger is to what? Be positive. Be positive. Okay, well, I'm so angry at this and life. I'm angry at my past. I'm angry at this. That all the energetic anger, the debris, the emotional debris that resides within you, it has to find a way out. It's like the volcano that's simmering, right? And it's boiling up inside and eventually has to find some outward expression. And so forth do we, when our emotions need to be expressed, which we're always trying to suppress and to push back in, they eventually come out in often ways that we don't feel is very honorable. We might yell at our children. We might come out in an outburst. We might just physically hit something. It's not because we're not being authentic and true to how we're really feeling. And so that is really integral in creating that body, mind, and spirit. And I also add in emotion. I call it 4 pillars of health. Because to me, if you're not authentically true to how you feel, our emotions, then no matter how much mental, spiritual, or mind, body, and spirit, physical, all of those parts, if you don't use all of them together, then you're not going to be in harmony within yourself and create this life that you want to live.
Right. So I have a question regarding the physical symptoms or discomfort, if you will. How would someone determine whether it was what we would actually consider a legitimate physical cause versus an emotional cause?
Great question. And this is never to replace medicine. I mean, I'm a physical therapist. I believe in medicine. My son's in medical school. Medicine is very important. And doctors will tell you that we don't know what causes things necessarily. You might go in because you have a symptom, and they'll say, well, all the tests show there's nothing wrong. We can't identify it. So they might give you a catch-all word like fibromyalgia. Well, you got fibromyalgia because we don't know what else to call it.
Right.
Fibromyalgia is pins and needles. It's your electrical nervous system all kind of like in a boil, is overstimulated. And so you're literally jumping inside. Your nerves are totally in an unrestful state. And so eventually your body has to respond to that. And so it responds by having pain or numbness or tingling or actual visual tremors because you're unrestful inside. So the question that you're asking, I think is really important, is what you need to do is start first by asking yourself, what could be at the basis of how I'm feeling? What is the deeper root cause? And working with me as a coach and as a healer, because there's lots of different ways I can heal, we would actually be able to identify that. We would actually be able to relieve that emotional pain. And one of the free gifts I'm going to give you later is a meditation you can go through. But when you start to be able to identify and unravel your past, and you do this in my book through exercises, Powerful Beyond Measure, on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, you actually go through these exercises that as an investigative, not as a psychiatrist, you don't have to relive them.
I like that.
You're actually able to connect the dots to find out what have I continued to use throughout my life that continues to be a replay patterning of beliefs, self-limiting beliefs, behaviors you're taking on, and even expectations, what you're expecting to come to you. Well, my parents were always poor. I've always struggled with finances. Even when I had finance, I lost it. So I know that's going to be the way it continues. Well, you're expecting that. You're going to create the energy that you're going to get that. So when you can find out what the nemesis is, what is your wound, the emotional wound, then you're able to start to heal it and shift it and create patterns and beliefs and techniques using lots of different tools to create what you want in your life. So I'm not sure I quickly answered that question. So when you are able to identify what is actually hurting you inside, be truthful with your emotions. They're not going to hurt you. It's being open and transparent, authentic with yourself. Look at that and feel that. Say, so where in my life can I change that emotional feeling? And it can happen really simple. You can use tapping techniques that actually improve the energy flow through different meridians because you blocked meridians. Do you know that arthritis, simple arthritis, doctors will say there's reasons for it and everything, but it's typically because you're always bumping up against resistance. You're always seeing obstacles. That's the way I look at it. I've talked to so many patients that have arthritis and they'll say, oh, I have this problem. I bump into it. I have this problem. It's always problems. And so what happens is they see themselves as always butting heads. The joint, you're butting up into that section and you're creating increased bone mass because you know there's going to be this obstacle.
Right.
And you don't have fluid mobility through it. And so when you start to envision that this is happening in my life, let's say you're working and you're not really having a great relationship with your boss or a coworker. Simple thing, right? but you're saying to yourself that my right hand, my knuckles are so painful, and it's on my right. So I'm going to tell you, your right upper body represents a masculine or a male energy.
Okay.
In the present or the past. The left side of your upper body represents a female or a maternal type energy. Mm-hmm. And as it goes across the pelvis, it changes. So your right hand to your left leg is all masculine.
Okay.
Your left hand to your right leg is all feminine. So you can actually identify, and you need to, and this is part of what I would do with you as a coach and a healer, is you would say, okay, I have right thumb pain, very specific. Mm-hmm. And I would say, fine, you're worrying about a man in your life. And why do I know it's worry? Because it's a different type of energy work out there that the thumb represents worry. Okay. And so when a baby sucks their thumb, they soothe themselves because they're worrying about something.
Understood.
And you see some children that suck the middle two fingers. That's because of a different sensation. Okay. So we soothe ourselves through meridian work without even realizing it. And so I would encourage you to tune into your emotions, to your feelings, and try to identify where is it coming from? How old is this emotion? So right now, I'm really feeling worried about whether my boss will be giving me more responsibility or worrying that he won't give me a bonus. I'm worried about this. So then let's say, what can you do about this? Mm-hmm. So maybe it's because you just feel like you're not capable for taking on the new project, okay, that you know he's going to be giving you. You have this sensation, and you're like, but I'm afraid I'm going to fail at it. I'm worried about not being able to perform and do that job. So what can you do? You can actually go into your boss and say, you know, I'm really excited in one way about this new opportunity I think that you're going to present to me, but I'm also skeptical that I'm not sure I'm going to be able to be adequate at it. Okay. And just say that to him and let him converse back and say, well, how did you read my mind? You're right, I did want to give it to you. But did you also know I was going to give you 3 support people to help you facilitate that outcome? Well, you didn't know that part. Right. And so all this worrying that you had was self-imposed, self-induced. And so by actually taking action steps to move in, and I know you're all about movement and getting your body moving. So action steps is about movement. It doesn't mean you have to run a marathon. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you have to always do 50 sit-ups or this or that. It means about taking action steps, the first step, into understanding what your connection is emotionally. And then what can you do to step into that to validate your feelings? Okay. So that you can see how the outcome's going to be. How can you change that outcome? And I've had patients that will tell me that, you know, I went to my boss and I had that conversation. You know what? I didn't have any more thumb pain for the rest of the week. It just went away. Right. It just literally went away. Now the joints didn't change. Right. At all. I had another person who had it was the ring finger. I should have actually given that example. She came in, her ring finger was so swollen and red. It was in a classroom situation. I was doing a seminar, and really swollen. And she told me that her doctor said the only thing she could do was get a knuckle replacement. There was nothing else. It was so bad. She had very little range of motion. Mm-hmm. And so I said to her, I said, you know, so what's going on in your life? And she says, well, what do you mean? I said, well, the ring finger is about grieving, and it's about hopelessness. Okay. And she started crying. Oh. And I said, so can you share with us, the whole class was there, can you share with us what's going on? And she said, well, my husband's been in a nursing home for the past 2 years. They've given him hospice now, and he's only got so many more months. And I just know there's a hopeless situation. I'm already grieving before he's even died. Wow. And I said, so let me ask you, when did your right knuckle, ring knuckle finger symptoms start? And she said, and she was about 2 months after he went into the nursing home. Mm-hmm. And so I actually showed her some tapping exercise to do on her wrist right there in class. Mm-hmm. It took about 2 minutes to do. And she went from a pain level of 10 down to 1. And when she came back the week later, doing them every day, a couple times a day, the tapping, she came back and she had full range of motion with no redness or swelling at all in her joint.
Amazing. Right?
Amazing.
This is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's really a big deal.
that's fantastic. So that actually leads me to another question, because we started kind of going down this path a little bit regarding the physical movement. Can you talk a little bit about what that role is in the healing process?
It's so profound. And I think movement is so integral in taking any action that we want in our life. And movement can occur in so many ways. For me, when I was lying on my bed sleeping and overweight 60 pounds, I was able to totally lose 60 pounds by first addressing the emotional pain. That was the most important, because if I just went out and tried to walk and run and run and run, whatever, and not address the emotional pain, I would not have been successful. I would have still been unhappy. So the emotional part's really huge. Then I say, decide how you want to take action. Do you want to dance? Do you want to, just do yoga and just be in simple positional movement that creates peace within you? Maybe you have a crazy life. Maybe you're so chaotic that for you to go run,
maybe dodgeball isn't your thing.
But then for some people, the running is a release, and running is wonderful. So what works for one person, I really would say as a therapist, does not always work for everyone. And I believe that as a coach, that you need to also be true to yourself, encourage you to find whatever movement you want, that you want to enjoy doing it. So if movement means you get to work in the yard, the gardening, 2 hours a day, and you're bending and lifting and shoveling, that's motion. And if you have never done that and you've been away from it for years, that's a lot of activity. Now that doesn't mean in a year later you might say, I love that, but I can do something more in movement, something greater.
Right.
So we have to take transitional steps, I think, because sometimes I find that the first step is the hardest.
Absolutely. Oh.
And it doesn't have to be. Again, that's our perception. And I encourage you, whatever step you take forward, to look at it with open eyes, open heart, enthusiasm, encouragement, inspiration, and knowing that you've already succeeded no matter how far you're going to take that step, because you've taken a step. And therefore, you're already a champion.
Amazing. That's amazing. So, Cindy, this is right up my alley, and I could talk about this topic all day long. I don't want to keep you on the call all day long. However, is there any other topic that we haven't touched on so far today that you think would be really important to share?
Well, I want to give your listeners a few things, but I'd like to make sure we have time for them to take advantage of some other things that I think that could really benefit them.
Absolutely.
One is a summit that I'm also giving in early 2017 in March. It's called Powerful Beyond Measure Summit.com and Powerful Beyond Measure Summit.com. And there'll be 28 speakers there, and it's all about awakening your power within to where everything and anything is possible. There are no limits to creating the health in your life. There's no limits to creating the success in your life, to bringing a love into your life. All of these things and so much more will be talked about on this. There's actually even a woman who was interviewing Dr. Oz this past week, where she actually was on a ventilator waiting for her organs to be harvested. And she was visiting with Jesus as they were waiting to dissect her.
Oh my gosh.
And she comes back and lives and tells a story in Dr. Oz, and will also in our summit, about what her message is that Jesus said she needs to spread when she comes back. It's just amazing. And if she didn't have that accident where 2 or 3 semi trucks crushed her car,
my gosh,
there's no way she should have lived. If that didn't happen, then how could she be living the life she's living now, walking and functional and everything, where she can now give this message that has become now her destiny that she's supposed to fulfill. So I encourage you all to sign up for Powerful Beyond Measure Summit.com. I also wanted to give you access to a beautiful emotional healing meditation, completely free.
Wonderful.
That allows you, I'm just pulling up the link, here it is. I want to make sure I give it to you correctly. That allows you healing of this emotional pain that we carry from our early days. It's really, really important. And it's completely free. It's also found in my book with 5 additional free gifts. So I really encourage you, please go order my book. It's a miracle that will unfold in your life in ways you have no idea. So the link to the meditation is my initial link, which is www.CynthiaMazzaferro, MAZZAFERRO.com / that's the fraction sign, heart, home of healing meditation. And it's just so profound. It actually will create emotional, energetic releases that you will feel in your body immediately. I promise you this.
Beautiful.
It's just really amazing. And so that's really important too for you. And I have one other really wonderful gift, which I believe is so important. If we have time, I'll quickly do this for you, Renee.
Sure.
I believe that we all have our soul, this soul inside of us, that is always talking to us. And we know, it tells us, you really aren't eating the right thing, or, you need to get out and go visit with your friends or go see your parents or whatever it is. I need to apologize to this one. That's your intuition talking to you, your soul's voice, who you really are. Your physical body is not who you are, but your soul is who you are. And this entity, this soul, wants to connect with you in so many ways, and it tries to. But we become blind to that wisdom, that knowledge. And I have a beautiful 52-week intuitive soul message program that is just amazing. And it's normally valued at over $500. And for your summit, it's only going to be $97. It gives you 52 weeks of intuitive messages that you get to pick out of 4 images. And what's amazing is every week there's a collage of 4 images. And when I sat in discernment and allowing the divine to speak to me, I wrote messages for each of these images. And what I have found, over 5,000 people have participated in these. It's amazing. And when you look at the images A, B, C, or D, your intuition, your soul will direct you to the message it wants you to hear. Now, you might love butterflies, and that might be in picture B, but your soul is telling you you've got to pick C. And when you pick C and you read that message, it is profound, because that's what you need to work on for that week. And it really speaks to you. And it's really amazing. And the link for that, 52 weeks of intuitive soul messages with an additional bonus of a diary where you get to write in it, write your action steps, the movement steps that you're going to take to address these soul messages. It's all in this diary. It's so powerful. The link for that is, again, my website first, CynthiaMazzaferro.com / intuitive soul, SOUL, messages with an S at the end. And if you go to that, you can read all about it in much more detail. And it's such an easy, beautiful gift to give to yourself that will allow your light to shine in your life and in the world in ways that are way beyond your imagination.
Fantastic. Cindy, that was really generous offer of you, and I really appreciate it. We will have links for all of those things in the email that goes out, so our audience will be sure to see all those. And I really appreciate that. It's wonderful. This has been a fantastic discussion, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Renee, and I really appreciate it. And I appreciate what you're doing and bringing to the world, because there's no greater gift that we can give anyone but empowerment. And having self-empowerment allows you to realize that you get to experience life exactly the way you want to. Right. And it's a beautiful thing, and allowing your spirit to come to be is just the gracious gift you can give yourself. So thank you, Renee, for having me, and it's been a true honor and pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Cindy. Again, we'll have links for all of those free gifts for you and Cindy's offer. And thank you so much for all your expertise and for sharing today. Appreciate it. And thanks for putting me in the hot seat. I actually really enjoyed that.
Great. Thank you very much. And good luck with your move. I'm sure it'll be perfectly orchestrated, because remember, it's divinely timed, and now you have to embrace this new opportunity of what this is going to bring for you and your family.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Blessings all.
Goodbye.